everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review, demo, and some comparison swatches of the new NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop foundation. I do have 4 shades right here that I am going to swatch all of them and then just compare them to some other foundation shades that I have. The shades I got was Light, Nude, Porcelain, and Natural. And I believe looking online, all of these was described as a light with a neutral undertone, because it was a little bit hard for me to understand and kind of find my shade. So like I said, I did just want to get a couple. I am going to go ahead and get in the demo in case you guys are just wanting to see the actual application. To prime my face today, I did use my Smashbox Photo Finish Primer in Light, and then I did apply it with my Sonia Kashuk sponge. It's my favorite way to apply this foundation. I'll talk about that in the review. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into the demo. The first 4 are the new NYX foundation. The first shade is the shade Porcelain. Next is the shade Light, Nude, the Natural, Wet n Wild Photo Focus in the shade Nude Ivory, the Wet n Wild Photo Focus in the shade Soft Ivory. This is the new Beauty Blender in the shade 140. This is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter in the shade 150. This is Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in 110. And this is the Estee Lauder Delaware in 1 2 Ecru. As far as like color comparisons, the Wet n Wild in the shade Nude Ivory is really closest to the shade Light in the new NYX foundation. And then the Estee Lauder 1 2 Ecru is very similar to the shade Natural, except Natural in my opinion has quite a bit more of like a peachier undertone to it, but those two are the most similar. As far as, like I said, the Beauty Blender one, I don't really see like much compared. That's why I have to mix them. But like I said, I hope that these comparisons kind of help for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that demo and that comparison swatches. If you guys are liking me doing the comparison swatches, let me know and I will continue to do those. So maybe, like I said, if you have one foundation, you'll see what's similar and stuff like that. So I do have my full notes here. Like I said, I'm going to go through with you guys, but I am going to just read everything on Ulta so you'll kind of know its claims. If you were a Platinum member and a Diamond member, I think you were able to get this foundation last week a little bit early. If you were not and you did not get a chance to get it, you can pick it up again online on 8/16, or you can wait and pick it up in store on 8/20. It says that this is a lightweight, waterproof, and pigmented. NYX Professionals Makeup Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation hustles as hard as you do. This comfy liquid formula comes in 45 flattering tones that don't transfer. Every creamy shade glides on smooth, delivering matte coverage and color that stays true for up to 24 hours. This little overachiever also works to control shine and mattify your complexion all day long, but it doesn't stop there. It's for normal, oily, combination, and sensitive skin types. If you're new to my channel, I do have oily, sensitive skin. A lot of stuff causes me to break out. I did notice under their how to use section, it does say that you're supposed to prep your face with their Can't Stop, Won't Stop Matte Primer. But I haven't had the best luck with primers from the drugstore. For some reason, a lot of them makes me break out, so I did skip on that one. I am going to talk about the 4 primers that I have used this with. It says that you can apply and blend using the Pro Total Control Drop Foundation Brush, the flat foundation brush, with your blending sponge or your fingers. I like to use this with a sponge. I'm not a huge fan of using this with a brush. So I'm going to go on, like I said, get on with the claims. You do get a standard 1 fluid ounce with this product. It does come in a glass bottle. I've already dropped it and the glass is pretty thick and it hasn't cracked. You get a pump, which I am really thankful for, and then this is $14.99. It is buy one get one half off right now, and like I said, that's why I got 4 shades, because it was buy one get one half. It does come in 45 different shades, but the shades that I got, I feel like the undertone, all of them will just have a neutral undertone, and I feel like none of them are very neutral. Like, really quick, I'll just mention this, but like the shade Porcelain and Light, to me, I feel like both lean very pink in my opinion. Not like super pink, but they definitely lean more onto the pink side. And then the shade Nude leans very, very yellow. And then the shade Natural is the closest shade for me, but it's a little bit dark. And I definitely feel, like I said, it does have more of like a peachier kind of undertone to it. So I do have to mix 3 of these shades to get the shade that you see on my face right now. It is a little bit light at the moment, but this foundation does oxidize just a little bit, which I'll talk about. So again, I'm going to just go through these claims with you and tell you guys if I agree or how my experience is with them. As far as saying it's smooth, I think that yes, this is a very smooth looking foundation. I think it looks so gorgeous on the skin. It blends out so incredibly well. As far as matte, I think this is a very, very matte foundation. If I set this with a powder, this was kind of like one of the biggest things that I noticed. It can feel kind of tight feeling. So I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work on dry skin. It does say it's just for normal, oily, combination, and sensitive skin. So if you have dry skin and you want to try this, I would really, really moisturize and go in with a hydrating primer, because I usually like really matte foundations, but this is one of those that if I don't set it like all over my face, I don't feel that tightness, but if I do set it, I do kind of feel like it gets tight and I look extremely, extremely matte. So if you do have really oily skin though, and you like foundations that kind of feel like that and stuff, then you definitely will like this foundation. As far as the saying that it stays true to color, I definitely disagree. This does oxidize, and it's kind of weird because like I put this on and like I think it looks fine right now and stuff, and then I went out in the car and I feel like, you know, when you look in your mirror, that's like the truest representation you're gonna get of the color. It still looked good. Then by the time I drove about 45 minutes down to eat breakfast with my friend, it had oxidized almost a complete shade. So that's something to kind of be cautious of, is that I feel like it kind of does it later, kind of like after an hour or so. But once it kind of does that, I noticed that it doesn't continue to get darker throughout the day. So like I said, it does just kind of dry down, at least it does on me. So that is something that you might kind of want to watch out for and be cautious with. As far as it controls shine, I completely agree. That's one of the things I love about this foundation. I actually wish I'd had this when I went down to work tour, because it lasts all day for me. The only place I have any issues of getting a little bit oily is just right here where my nose is, which is really weird because this area right here is really dry. In the summertime, that area stays pretty dry because my allergies and I'm sneezing so much and kind of, you know, wiping that area, so it does really get dry right here. But it's weird because it gets extremely oily right here. And does kind of break up a little bit, so I do find, like I said, throughout the day I'm like looking there and it does look dry and kind of cracky, but also like shiny in that one area. But as far as it getting shiny on my chin, my upper lip, right here on my forehead, no, I do not get shiny. I'm, like I said, just highly impressed with this foundation. I do think that, like I said, it does work, in my opinion, a little bit better for my oily skin. And like I said, I don't like how it looks and does around this dryness on my nose. So I think that for oily skin, it does work. Again, if you have dry skin though, that's something that I'm not sure is going to work. I think if you have combination skin though, it might work for you. And like I said, even if you do have dry skin and you want to try it out, I think maybe using a hydrating primer and just really making sure your skin is moisturized is going to work. Like I said, as far as controlling oil, I've got here as far as 12 to 14 hours. I do feel like I do get a longer wear time with a primer though. So if you're someone, like I said, has extremely oily skin and you try this out and you like it, but you think it needs to last just a little bit longer, definitely try it with a primer, because I do think a primer extends the wear. It does usually with most foundations. For me, a primer does make a huge difference. Like I was saying, it does grab on to dryness right around there and just kind of separates. As far as coverage, I would say this is a medium to buildable full coverage with one layer. I would say it's medium coverage, but as you guys have seen, I went back and built it up in like areas on my cheek and stuff, and I would say that, like I said, it is pretty full coverage. So that is great if you're trying to cover up acne and stuff, because I do have like a couple like little breakouts you guys seen and scarring on my cheeks and stuff, so I love that it does offer full coverage. As far as the application, like I said, I like to use it with a sponge. I pulled out my Sonia Kashuk one today. I'm not a huge fan of the sponge, but I adopted a new cat from the animal shelter, and she got a hold of my sponges. So the only sponge I have right now is the Sonia Kashuk one and 2 beauty blenders, and I like this better than the beauty blender. But I just like this application better because I feel like this foundation dries a little bit quickly. That's why I worked in sections, and I feel like this just really blends it out, whereas with a brush, I feel like I'm kind of going in and it looks even matter with the brush, and that's just a little bit too matte for me because I feel like it looks a little bit unnatural. Whereas with the sponge, it just blends it out really easy, and I think it just makes the easiest application for me. So I do prefer a sponge. It says that it's waterproof, and the only thing I ever did to test that is like when I went to take off my makeup, I just kind of threw water up in my face, and I don't agree that's waterproof because it immediately does that thing where when, like I said, you hit it with water, it just like separates, you know what I mean? Like it looks like it's kind of like coming up off of your skin. So again, I haven't tried it in a pool or anything, so I can't really say if it's 100% waterproof, but I did want to tell you guys my experience of just kind of splashing water on my face. As far as how it feels on the skin, I do agree that it feels really lightweight, but like I said, if you set it with a powder, I really notice that tightness on the skin. But as long as I don't set this with a powder, I'll just make sure to set, like I said, my under eyes and just right here where I get a little oil in my chin and on my forehead. Like I said, it's fine, but if I go kind of set like in this area, it does feel tight. But besides that, I do feel like it's lightweight. I don't feel like it's heavy on the skin. As it wears throughout the day, I don't think it feels any different. It doesn't start feeling heavier or greasier or anything like that. It still feels really nice and lightweight. As far as like I was saying, the powder, you don't have to set it though. It does set on its own. Like you don't get that tacky feeling on your skin. So I find that, like I said, I can blend product over top of this foundation without having to set it with an actual powder. I do think that it glides over top of my pores. I don't think that I need a pore filling primer. I mean, my pores aren't like a really big issue for me. Like if I do have a foundation that sinks in and emphasizes it, it's like I will mention it, but I do like to go with a pore filling primer more in this area because I do have these like smile lines right here. But since I've been taking better care of my skin, these haven't been as prominent. But like I said, I do think it just smooths over top of my pores without a pore filling primer. I got mascara here. Or without a primer in that area. So I think that, like I said, any primer would work, but I do really like, I do really like it with a primer though for longevity wise, but it does glide over top of my pores. As you guys can see, it's not sinking in on my forehead or anything, so I do like that. As far as primers, I actually have 4 here. The first one I'm going to start out with is the Origins Original Skin Pore Perfecting Cooling Primer with Willow Herb. I've only tried one foundation that this doesn't work good with, and that's the Beauty Blender foundation, but I love this. It just creates such a smooth, like a smooth base, and I think that this foundation looks even more beautiful over top of this. And I think that, like I said, it just looks just flawless and beautiful. I really, really like this. Now, I do not like it with the Too Faced Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Primer because this primer I feel like is very matte. It really gives like that cooling sensation, almost more of like that tighter sensation. And I think that's why I don't like it with this foundation, because the foundation is so extremely matte. My face just looks dead, and I feel like it actually feels dead. I do actually like it though with the Estee Lauder Matte Perfecting Primer. I feel that, like I said, again, this goes over top of it really nicely, and I love the Smashbox one. I love the Smashbox primer. It's my holy grail. I always go back to it. I always try it with every foundation. But those, like I said, are the ones that I do really like it with. Alright, so kind of moving on to some cons that I do want to talk about right here. The colors. So like I was saying, the colors were my hardest thing to kind of match because I feel like there's not really a neutral shade in my opinion between the 4 I got. They either lean more pink or more yellow, a little bit peachy, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a nice neutral undertone, whereas the beauty blender that I did recently try out in the shade 1.40, that's a really nice neutral undertone. That's one of my closest shade matches is that foundation. So like I said, I think this might be one that you might want to wait, go in store so you can swatch and see which one you like, or get you a couple of shades. The shades that I actually mix are the shades Nude, Light, and Natural. So I feel like I said it sounds like it's a lot to mix 3 shades, but I love how long this foundation lasts on my skin and how it looks on my skin so much that I am willing to mix those 3 foundations. I am going to actually pass the shade Porcelain onto my sister because I think she might really like this foundation as well. But overall, would I recommend this foundation? And the answer is absolutely. I think that this is a great foundation for the price, for $14.99. This impresses me a lot more than some of the high-end foundations that I've been trying out lately. I even like this better than the Beauty Blender foundation. I just wish that the shade, they had a shade that was like the Beauty Blender foundation, you know? But I do really like it. I would love to know your guys' thoughts, if you're going to pick it up, if you're going to try it out. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.